As a fresher, is it possible to get a DevOps job in the market? Please tell me. Whew, that is a question that I wouldn't say it's been a nightmare for me really, but then it's something that has been a concern for me also this last couple of weeks, because we tell people to learn DevOps, we tell people to learn cloud, we tell people to learn all these nice technologies, but then the question we don't answer, or the provision that is not being made, is the jobs that will be available for them when they finish learning. I'll say, yes, go do freelancing, go do this, go do that, but then there's no clear path to it. So I'll answer this truthfully, and I'll hopefully give some guide that will help you out there. And the short answer to your question is yes, there are jobs out there. There are jobs out there. You just need to dig deep enough. It's just like you're looking for gold. You don't see gold on the surface. You don't see silver on the surface. You don't see diamond on the surface. You have to refine stuff. You have to go deep to find it. And the current pace of the market now is that there are lots of people looking for the same job you're looking for. There are always jobs. If you go on LinkedIn, there are hundreds, if not thousands of thousands of roles available in various companies. I'm speaking for this in the current market I'm in, the United Kingdom. But in Nigeria, I'm guessing that's where this viewer is from, it's a little bit different out there, because you have to know someone who knows that the role is open. I'm not saying it's a cutting corner thing. Is that you need to be in connection with someone who knows that this role is open in this company for this kind of people. And one thing I've seen in the market, especially Nigeria, Ghana, Africa, etc., is that the people you know goes a long way in the kind of roles you would get. Most of the jobs, good jobs you would get, are mostly by referral. And these referrals mostly come if you're an active part of a community. Now, assuming this, you are learning DevOps, you find the community online, you join it, and then you contribute to community, and then what happens is companies send their staff to these community events to scout for talent. And if you're not part of that community, there's no way you get it. So one thing I'll say, if you're in a market like that, is be an active part of the community, such that when these opportunities open up, you would get involved. And also market yourself. Your CV is not going to market itself. You need to do the active of actually marketing yourself. And how do you do this? The first one, as I mentioned, be an active part of the community. Contribute to open source, even if it's just documentation, updating readme.md files. As you're learning, you find a problem. When you fix it, don't just stay at what you fixed. Tell the world you fixed it. Also, you want to learn in public. You want to put it out there on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Shout about what you're learning. Put it out there that I'm learning this, and by some wonderful, amazing, wonders, you will get that job. And I can tell you this for a fact that naturally, I'm not a very vocal person, except when I'm making videos like this one. And I'm pretty shy. But then, if I think I've learned something, I would make content about it. And this has been something that has opened doors for me in finding most, like 95% of the roles I've ever had. Like, just creating content, telling people about it. So, as you learn something, share that knowledge. It will open doors for you in the future, if not immediately. So, as a fresher, you think, yes, I don't know so much, I don't know a lot of things. Still, put that little bit of knowledge you know out there. It might not be 100% accurate. I'm going to tell you that for a fact. It might not be 100% accurate, but the truth of the matter is the fact that you put it out there, there's a way the internet works that the right set of people will just find you. So yes, there are jobs out there. In the African market, it's not so easy to find. Even here in the more advanced markets, the jobs are out there. They are kind of easy to find, but then the right set of people need more things to be done to get those jobs. That's the current market, because in the COVID times, a lot of companies were hiring, and then now there's probably funding freeze and all those kind of things, and then some people are actually getting laid off. So there are not so much openings as there were like during the pandemic times. But then there are still roles open. I can tell you, if I open LinkedIn today, I'll see roles, I'll see messages from recruiters, although I hardly open my inbox even anymore long because there are a lot of messages from these people asking me to come take this role, take that role. But then I'm pretty fine where I am right now. So to answer your question for short, yes, there are jobs for recruiters, but I think also just putting my heart out here is, if you're in a structured learning environment, most likely after your training program, there'll be some sort of internship or something you can do. So, and that sort of adds to the answer I want to give is, if you can find internship, volunteer opportunities to actually just do stuff and get your portfolio boosted, do it. Don't first look for the money. To be honest, yes, I know you want to pay your bills, but then, if possible, do some free stuff first to get your portfolio up to shape. Then you can start charging your thousands of dollars per minute as much as you want to. And this is the experience that I think a lot of, I'm not old, don't get me wrong, a lot of the younger folks really don't get, is when you have your portfolio built up is when you can start charging a ridiculous amount of money for stuff. But then what I've seen most people actually want to do is they want to start making all that big money from the get-go, because today, yes, there's money in DevOps. There's some kind of money in it, yes, don't get me wrong. But then you don't make that insane amount of money if you don't have some skills under your belt, if you don't have some experience under your belt, if you don't have some backing for yourself. So to get that backing, you need to have done some free stuff. I'll tell you my experience for short. There are a lot of websites I did for 30,000 naira, 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira. I can't do those websites anymore now because, of course, I've passed that stage. I have bills to pay now. I got a family to feed. But then, at the very start of my career, I did a lot of those things to just build up my portfolio. I had a set of friends that we did projects together, building an entire stack of apps for 200,000 naira. Something that should have cost thousands of dollars. We built it for insane amount of money just because we were building our portfolio, we were building our skill set at that time. And then that paved way for us to get bigger projects, bigger roles. So as a beginner in the DevOps field, if the first job you get is not enough to pay your bills, take it first. That will add to your experience level, and then you can use that as a stepping stone to your first, next row till you get higher and higher and higher. And that's where I'll leave that advice for now. So yes, there are jobs on the market, but then there are some compromises you'll have to make if your, I would say, standards are too high. Okay? I don't know the state of the person asking this question, but I'm just answering this question on a general basis of what I've seen a lot of beginners ask me. And I hope that answered your question and I've not come along as this old grumpy DevOps engineer. And I hope you can forgive me if I did. But of course, if you have further questions, put it in the comment section or use the link showing right now up on your screen, or scan this QR code to ask your question and I'll get to them as soon as possible. Until I come your way again yet with another video. Stay safe and goodbye. Hi, how are you doing today? I am checking out today the Monocaster G1 Neo audio interface, and it's a new device that's just come out from Mono, and it's a budget and compact and elegant and beautiful audio interface targeted at gamers and streamers just starting out their content creation gaming journey. And it's pretty nice, to be honest. From the way it sits on the table, as you can see here, it has nice RGB colors and everything. But I'll be telling you all about the RGB stuff later on in the video. But before I get to that, let's actually check out what comes in the box. When you open up the box, you generally just get the user manual, information card, a TRS cable, and then you get the audio interface itself, and then some information card, and then a USB-C to USB-C/A cable for connecting either to your mobile phone or your computer. That's pretty much all that comes in the box. And of course, the packaging comes on the general mono, golden, yellow, and black packaging. That's pretty much all of it. Minimal packaging, no force, no stress. Now, let's talk really about the audio interface itself. It's a versatile one. As you can see here, you can see my audio signals as I'm speaking into it. I can turn the gain down, so this is to adjust the input volume, and I have my gain set to about 75% right here, and that is what you're hearing into this video right now. I have not done any editing or post-processing whatsoever on it. Recording straight up into my audio recording software, no editing whatsoever done with it. And it adds some pretty nice features. But before we get to the features, actually, let's talk about the specs, and I'm gonna read that from my computer right here. So it has a frequency response of about 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. THD, I'm not sure what that is, of less than 0.05% to 1 kilohertz. Headphone or headset output power of 20 milliwatts. 32Q, I don't know what that is, and a sample rate of about 48 kilohertz to 16 bits, and it also supports Bluetooth. As you can see, the Bluetooth thing is what's it called? The Bluetooth thing is flickering right now, and the reason for that is that I have not connected this up to any device. If I was to do that, I could bring up my phone, and this is Bluetooth 4.2. I could bring up my mobile phone right here and actually go ahead and pair up this Bluetooth device. So I will just go here, and I should be able to find it in my Bluetooth list. You can see Monocaster G1 Neo. I'm gonna pair that up, and that means I can now play audio from my device. So if I go to YouTube Music, I'm just gonna put it out for a few seconds so I don't get some copyright strike, and I'm actually gonna look for my own music, okay? So that I don't get any copyright strike. I own that music anyways. I'm just gonna play my podcasts, so we get a feel of what that is. So I will play just one of the episodes we had with Scott Anselman. Welcome back to another exciting episode of This Dev Life. This is a podcast where we talk to developers and we talk about challenges developers face every day and how we overcome these challenges. On today's episode, and as it is, someone interesting, someone I am hearing that audio in my ears right now. Don't know, or probably will get to know. I've turned on monitoring only, so Scott I can hear that audio. Scott, how are you doing? Coming into my ears. I'm not sure if you can hear it through here because I've not tested that out yet, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah. But for now, I'm gonna pause that, and I'm just turn Bluetooth down. Generally, this is meant for music in your stuff. I'm guessing to actually have that, I could use sidechain. On the show today is our honored guest, and thank you for coming on the show. Thank you. All right, but generally that's it, and I'm currently using this also with the Mono PD100X. That's the new PD100 from Mono. I'll also be dropping a review video of that somewhere. You can check one of the links right here showing for that review. And I could modify reverb settings. I'm not sure how that's gonna sound like because I've not listened to it yet. Oh yeah, I can hear it with monitoring now. It's nice, but I'm not sure it's a feature I'm gonna be using for a very long time. So that's one of the things you can do with it. And all this supports XLR in. It also supports, if you look at the back right here, you see it supports aux in, it supports another line in, headphone out, stream out, USB-C to your computer, and also DC power in case you're actually trying to connect this using your mobile phone so it doesn't take all the power from your device really. So that's that about that back, and you can always adjust the volume of what you get. So this right now, I'm not hearing any audio in my ears, but I can turn it up and then I can have a listen. Although one of the things here is that the audio I'm hearing as the direct monitoring audio is not the cleanest audio that I can get because it's a bit light, but I can know that I am listening to the audio and I know if it's muffled or something in my ears for that purpose. Reverb, not something I'm going to be using a lot, but it's there for you if you want to give your sound a bit of effect. And then of course, you can reduce noise in your area. I've not used any noise reducing function on this interface so far, but if I was to do that, I could go to noise cancellation level 1 by pressing this once, and you can have a feel of what that really is in your ears and figure it out if it's best for you. I can go to level 2, which brings the noise cancellation level a bit higher. I'm recording in natural scenarios I would have if I was in my office. And then I can turn the noise reduction off also, and you can have a feel of what that sounds like. I've not listened back to this in the recording, and I will not edit this or modify any settings with it so you can have a real feel of what the audio really sounds like. And sidechain is useful for when you want the audio you're getting into the interface from your computer to also loop back to your recording software. So that is good for it, or music only mode. These are RGB buttons which are customizable. You can read the user manual to get more information on that, and you can also control the RGB colors with this one. 12 RGB colors to go through, but I prefer generally the rolling RGB colors. So you can cycle through that or turn it off totally if you're not an RGB person. But I prefer the rolling RGB colors and effects for myself. And if I was to be using this in my daily setup, of course I will be. This is the setting I would use. Set it up to max. My gain level at about 75%, and that is what I've been recording in all this while for the setup. The Bluetooth function I think will come in handy for me if I was to play music for my podcast, my Twitter live, Instagram live, and all sorts. I can always use that functionality, which I think is pretty super duper nice. And one of the other features of the G1 Neo is the voice changer, which I won't be using a lot also because I think I like the sound of my voice. But if you want to give some effects for people who game, for people who want to give some sound effects to their uh, audio with their streams and games, you can of course do that. And I think because it's geared towards them, that is why that feature is there. So listen to this voice changer one.
I should hopefully be sounding like a female person right now. I don't know. Female. Is that female enough? Maybe it is. And
This is supposed to sound like a male person. Although I'm male, I thought my sound was male, but this is another male voice you can have if you want to have that sound effect for your streams.
and then of course I can decide to sound like a baby if I want to on my live streams. And that is what the baby effect really sounds like. I hope you enjoy it and have some bit of fun with it.
And I can sound like a robot. A robot is what I sound like right now. I'm enjoying it. Maybe. Maybe a little. I do not know. You tell me if you like this effect. And I'm back.
To the default audio setting now, and this is what I really sound like if I was to speak into the audio interface in my setting. And of course I can always miss the mic. I can press it back and audio really comes on live. And then if I'm using a more powerful microphone, I could use the 48-volt phantom power. But then all right, I'm back. Yeah, I must blew something in the microphone, but then I don't need it, so I'll be turning that off for the very long time. But if you're using the likes of the Shure SM7Bs and more powerful microphones, you can always use the 48-volt phantom power for your setup. So pretty much that is that setup right there. Let me check what other things I wanted to talk about in today's video before I move on. I've talked about all the effects. I've talked about who this is for. I've done all the tests and sound settings you might want to go through for that kind of scenario. And if you're gonna ask me who this audio interface is for, I would generally say this is for someone looking for a simplistic starting setup for your audio recording. It brings your recording to another whole new level compared to using the audio on your mobile phone, your iPhones, your Samsungs, or your onboard camera, microphone, and all that. This levels up your audio paired with a good microphone like the Mono PD100X or the old PD100 or any other microphone you can find on the market that supports XLR. You will be good to go. Of course, if you're even using headset, you can always plug that in also through the back here, you're pretty much good to go. Or maybe even using a lav mic, you can always use that for it, and it's pretty nice and good to come in that way for you. So if you're a beginner streamer, beginner gamer, beginner content creator, this is good for you. Although I've been making content now for a number of years, I will be using this for a number of months in my setup to actually see if anything is better. Of course, I will do all some EQs and some sound effects for my other recordings, but for this video, I've done nothing whatsoever for it. And if you ask me what the price comes at the time of recording this video, it comes in at about $60 on the Mono website. I'll actually drop the link to purchase one in the video description and also a pinned comment for you to check it out on the Mono website. And if I find it on Amazon also, I'll put the link in the video description, although they are affiliate links, but that comes at no extra cost to you whatsoever, so you can check it out and have a feel of it for yourself. But if you ask me if I would recommend this audio interface for the beauty, I would 100% recommend it. I've been using the C2 Neo on my desk for months now, and it's beautiful. It's fantastic. But I think this brings the design to a whole new level. If the C2 Neo could have the kind of colors and design this one has, I would have gone for the C2 Neo. Although they come in at the same price point, so you might want to ask me which one of this should you go for? Should you go for the C1 G1 Neo or the C2 Neo? But then the choice is actually yours. If you're looking for a more pro-ish setup, C2 Neo. If you're looking for a simplistic, elegant, beautiful look, modern look, upgraded hardware, upgraded setup, new controls and all that, still doing the same thing, I would say you go for the J1 Neo. But of course, I'll be making a whole new video actually comparing the C2 Neo and the G1 Neo in another whole new video, so subscribe so you can get the video once it drops. But on a general note, if I would be getting this with my own money, if I was starting my content creation journey and I saw this on the market, I would go for it. Because for me, I want to experiment a lot of things. I want to see which fits the scenario best for me. Yes, I will get it. Coming at $60, it's not expensive. It's not ridiculously cheap also, don't get me wrong. It's budget enough to give you the quality audio you're looking for in your setup. So if you're starting your content creation journey, if you're looking to level up your audio setup, and I've made a video where I walk you through getting clean audio in your setup and everything. And if you're someone who is also on the go most of the times and just need something minimalistic to power your podcasting setup, although Mono says this is not recommended for podcast, but I can bet you that this interface right here, I would use it for podcast if I was on the go and record with it excellently well using my mobile phone, because I have tried to connect this to my mobile phone and it works excellently well. So if I'm on the go and I want to record something quickly, I can actually pair this up and I'm very much good. But of course, you should also consider using some of the microphones that actually have direct USB connection to a mobile phone also, if that's something you are in the market for. But if I recommend this, 100% I would. I know I recommend a lot of products on my channel, and the reason for this is so you can get a bit of many options, budget options. I particularly do not review expensive products that I will not spend my own money on. So if I'm giving you a review video, if I'm reviewing a product on my channel, it means it is something I can put my money on. It is something I can spend my money to go buy, although it's given to me to review by these brands. I would spend my money on them to buy them for myself, and that is why I would review. So whatever review video you see me make on this channel, I will be willing to spend my money on it if it was not given to me. And that is generally it for this video. I think I've pretty much gone through most of the points I wanted to go through. Coming at $60, I think it's a steal, really. $60 audio interface that gives you this kind of audio quality. I would say go for it if you've got the money. Remember, I'll drop the links in the video description and pinned comment for you to check out for yourself and have a bit of feel of what that really sounds like. And my monitor going off behind me right now simply tells me that it is time to get back to work. But of course, I will see you again in another video. Stay safe and goodbye. Hi, how you doing? I'm back with another video request, and it was a bit of a weird one. It came in the night, and then I was like, I could actually answer this by sending a screenshot, but I think this will also benefit the whole world. So I decided to make a video out of it. And it's pretty simple. So I have this question where someone was logged out of the Azure VM, probably because they forgot their password or something. It's a common occurrence to forget your password. That is fine. Advisable, keep your passwords in a vault system like Keeper or LastPass or Microsoft Passwords or Google Passwords or wherever, so you don't lose them in the future. But then these things happen. So how do we fix that? How do we get back into actually getting access in case we do not remember what password we use for our virtual machines? So what I've done is that I've pre-prepared a Windows virtual machine in Azure, and what I would do there is try to log in first with the password I remember, and then log in with a password that would not work. So what I want to do now is go ahead and open remote desktop. Open a remote desktop, put in the public IP of that virtual machine. That's the virtual machine you see in the background of the thing right there. And then I'll put in the username. The username you must always remember, that's a simple fact there. But the password, you could probably forget that. So click on connect, follow the prompts to finish the connection, and then put in the password. And ideally, that should ask you for certificate prompts and all that stuff. And then after a couple of seconds, it should log you in to that virtual machine. But for some very interesting reasons, that popped up on another screen. So let me bring it into focus. So that virtual machine actually popped out on another screen entirely, that which is fine, which is okay. I will just need to, yeah, I'm connected to multiple virtual machines on my computer. Now this is the one I'm connected to right here, and you can see I'm logged in fine now. Everything is working fine, easy peasy. My machine is good. But then there comes a time when I would forget my password in the case of what happened for this gentleman. So what I would need to do now is go back and open remote desktop on my main computer and put in the same IP address, the same username, but this time around, I would put in a wrong password. I don't ask me again for this computer, that's fine. And then I'll put in something that will not work. And then I'm logged out. I can't access my virtual machine, which is totally fine. I could try as many times as possible, and then things would just not work. I forgot my password, that is totally fine. So what I can do is on the management plane of the virtual machine and the cloud, if I scroll down to the help area here, you would see there is a reset password option, and that's a saving grace. This has happened to me a couple of times, and that is why I know exactly where to go. So I click on reset password, and then I put in the person's username, the user's username, and then I start putting in the right password. So I've changed the password now. Click on update. And I should get a notification once that is complete. Now, what I've not tried before is actually see if I put in another username and put in a password, if that user can also now log into the system. So I know the password I set for this user now. What I will try to do now is put in another username with a new password and see if I can log that new user into the system also. That is what I will try next, but I'm not quite sure that will work. So let's go back to our user and see if that user can still now log in. Yes, I trust the certificate. And that user is able to log in now again. That is totally fine. Now, what I want to try now will be a little bit tricky. So let's go here and put in a username we've not used before. Okay. And click on update. Let's see if that gives us an error. It doesn't give us an error. Okay. Let's now see if we can log in as that user. This is going to be a little bit of fun. not this username. Nah, that would not work. Okay, so you need to always remember the username you used. Of course, you can always forget the password, but don't forget the username. So I will try this again just to be sure it would not work. Now that would not work. So you need to put in the right username to be able to set the user's password. That's the only way to be able to do that. And I don't know if there are some PowerShell extensions you can use to actually create more users on the system once the virtual machine has been created and all that. But that is something that will be worth researching. And I really hope that answered your question for the person who go looked at the virtual machines. And if it's a Linux VM, the same principle apply depending on how you configured it, other SSH keys to log in and all that. You can reset the SSH keys and then proceed to log into the virtual machines. And I hope that helped you. And if your platform was not Azure, there should be some sort of way in the console, in the portal, or maybe even through the CLI where you can actually do this for yourself and reset the user password and be able to log into your virtual machine again. And that's my answer to that question, and I hope that helps resolve the problem. And if not, let me know in the comments and I will try to get one-on-one with you and then try to resolve the issue. And of course, that's it for this video. If you like this, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any further videos just like this one. And if you need me to make any video concerning Code Cloud and DevOps, technically now, I'll put a link in the description so you can check it out and put in your question and I get to answer them as soon as possible. Until I come your way again yet with yet another video, stay safe and goodbye. Hi, I'm Dara and this is Dev Cloud and DevOps Ask Me Anything. I got another question that was similar to the one I answered in a previous video. You can check that video out here. And I thought it would be nice to actually expand more on the answer. And the question is simple and it goes thus. What are some tips to make a beginner different in the cloud and DevOps space? As a beginner, to be different, you have to do things differently. Now, do not do things conventionally. Yes, abide by the rules, but do not do things conventionally. Think out of the box. Look for innovative ways to change the space you're in. It's actually easier, and I say this with no pun intended, it's easier for a beginner to change things and the way things are compared to someone who has been doing it for a very long time because you're fresh. And I'm not saying this because I'm old. I'm not old. I'm a very young man myself. It is easier as a beginner to, learn new concepts and change the way things are. Especially if you're really good, people will listen to you. So, to make yourself different in the cloud space, you want to do things that are totally out of the norms, but of course still legal and still compliant. Compliance is one of the things we preach in the DevOps space. So, what do I mean by this exactly? You want to, say for example, you realize the way things are done, and this is no pun for people who use virtual machines and conventional deployment methods. If you realize the way your organization or where you're interning or where you're working now, the way they do things are a little bit old and out of date, what you can do as a beginner, because you've learned all this new cloud concept, you know how Kubernetes works, how Docker works, how this nice stuff work, you can do a POC and say, hey, this application we have that runs on this virtual machine costing you XYZ, if you have an insight into the cost, of course, or you can do a mock-up of what the cost could look like, costing you XYZ, I'm able to do it with this new technology and it will cost ABC. And it's 50% cheaper to run here, and it's even faster, and it's more secure, and it offers you more flexibility. Now, you've put out a business case. What businesses like to hear, especially if you're a new person, is, even if you're not a new person, how do I save money? Or how do I make more money? That is the question. How do I save money and how do I make more money? How do I become more profitable? That is the question every business asks from time to time, and everything they do is geared towards that. So what you want to do is present ways that your business or your customers or your clients can save money or make more money. That is one of the ways. Show value. The value you show can be monetary, can be in terms of skills, can be this is how much you save time if you use this new tech I'm learning. This is this thing I do. And one thing I answered in the previous video is make yourself visible. So if you've done something awesome, make it loud. You hear me? Make it loud. If you've done something awesome, make it loud. In your organization, it's not like you're shouting. It's not like you're trying to say, hey, I'm here. But it's trying to make yourself visible to the right set of eyes, so that when opportunities come, you will be thought of. And it's not because you want to override your boss or some people who have been there for a couple of years. It's simply because you're doing things better and they work. So to set yourself apart, you want to do things out of the ordinary. You want to be able to provide value. And the value must be able to make the business more profitable, because that is the bottom line of everything. Everything we do in this life, even as individuals, is to make more profit. The profit here might not be monetary. In the personal case, might be in terms of happiness. Okay, because doing this video does not make me much money, to be honest, but I still do it because it makes me happy to be able to share this kind of knowledge with you. So you want to ensure that you're providing value, you're saving people money or making them more money. And people in this case here, it could mean businesses. So that is one of the ways to set yourself apart. There are lots more that I could actually explain on, and I think if I would do this, I will actually put it in a live stream video, and then we have some Q&A, I will chat, so I can understand more into what you mean, and also, get more direct interaction. But of course, that's story for another day. We'll talk about that in another video. But I think that sort of answers that a little bit. And I hope it actually really answers your question. Provide value, think out of the box, do extraordinary things, change the way things work, and then make money. When I say make money, it means make money for the business or save the business money, because the business needs to be profitable. These are some of the ways to actually make yourself visible and special and different in the cloud space. And this applies to any career you might actually be thinking of. And also, one thing you can do, which is actually really important, is you should contribute to the community. That is one of the ways to actually make a difference. Contribute. If you learn something new, let the world know about it. If you're learning something new, let the world know about it. If you're getting on a new path, let the world know about it. That is how we share. That is how the world works. The space, the DevOps space, the cloud space, the IT space generally works through community. Join a community, contribute to that community, help other people to make their journey better. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner or not. There are people you know a little bit more than, and that is where you come in to be able to bring them into the current experience level you're at. As you grow and progress, they come after you, and you can do that for others and pay it forward step by step. I hope that's a question. If you have more dev, cloud, and DevOps Ask Me Anything questions, remember to use the link in the video to actually put your questions through or scan this QR code showing on your screen right about now. And remember to like, share, and subscribe so you do not miss any further videos coming from me in the future. Until I come your way again with another Dev, Cloud, and DevOps Ask Me Anything answer, stay safe and goodbye. Another question came in the Dev, Cloud, and DevOps Ask Me Anything series that I'm doing. And the question goes thus: how does one set himself apart in the cloud space in terms of technical skills, because there's a huge talent pool now considering remote also? One adage, which comes from my local dialect, says, Oju orun tobi feyefo like farapa. And that what simply means is that the sky is big enough for birds to fly without hurting each other. Now, I know there's a lot of people transitioning into the DevOps space. There's a lot of people transitioning into the cloud space. There's a lot of people transitioning into the IT space, the software space, even the music space, even the content creation space. But that does not mean one cannot excel in such fields, because there's just a lot of people. What I'll say is, to be able to set yourself apart in your trade, you need to be excellent at it. You need to be good at it. Well, not like you need to be the superhero of everything, but you need to be doing something in a way that others are not. And one of the things I generally advise folks is you should be able to document what you're doing and make it visible, either in your organization or to the entire world. You need to make yourself visible from time to time what you are doing. So if you're learning something new, if you're creating something that might benefit other people, you should showcase it. You should ensure that people are seeing what you're doing. The right people, in this case, it might be your boss, might be your boss's boss, might be the entire organization, might be the whole world, for all I care. So you should ensure that what you're doing is visible to the right set of people. That is one of the ways to set yourself apart. And also, your learning should be continuous. You never stop learning. You don't say because I've known how to code Python, I know how to do YAML, I know how to do Kubernetes 5 years ago, I do not need to improve my skills. The technology space we live in today has moved along quite fast and is still moving along quite fast. So you need to constantly learn and relearn your skills. You need to be able to document it. You need to be able to shout it. It's not just shouting like an empty barrel. It simply means that you need to proclaim what you're doing to the right set of people so that they can see you and be able to offer you opportunities when they come along. What makes a major difference between folks that I've seen that succeed in their field is that they make themselves vocal. Now, you can be an introvert. I'm an introvert also, a very extreme introvert, to be honest. But I try to ensure that the right set of people will see what I'm doing. And that is one of the ways I actually excel in my own way. But for anyone, especially who just wants to excel, you need to constantly learn and evolve. You need to have what we call an open mindset. You need to be able to adapt to changes in the field, adapt to changes in your work. You need to be able to, put yourself out there to learn and unlearn skills from time to time. And that would be my short take on that. I'm not sure if that answers your question. If it does, let me know in the comments. And also, if you have further questions on this topic or if I need to expand more on that, let me know in the comment section. And also, if you have more questions, use the link shown on your screen right now or scan this QR code so you do put your questions in. And if you like the video so far, you have more questions, remember to put them in. And also, please subscribe to my channel so you do not miss any videos like this coming in the future. I promise to be making very much more of this at a go so I don't miss my streak. Like one of the previous videos I make, you can check that video out here about missing streaks and learning cloud. So like, share, follow with your friends and family, and I'll see you again in another one. Goodbye. If you have previously used the Mono PD100 or the PD100U, you would probably want to fall in love with this microphone right here because it's glowing, it's beautiful. And this is the Mono PD100X dynamic XLR USB microphone with RG Blue. And I'll be telling you all about it in today's video. But before that, let's talk about what comes in the box. With all Mono products, it comes in the golden, yellow, and black packaging, which is really nice and beautiful to actually look. I love having it on display in my home office / studio setup. And you get the information card and the user manual to tell you all about the microphone and what you get. And then of course you get some kits, which is the USB-C to USB-C/A cable, and then you get a weighted base, which is a stand which you can use with the microphone to stand it on your desk if you're not using a boom or desk clamp like I am. This way it's good, it's nice, but it's not something I would be using for my setup because I am Mr. Clamp everything. And then of course you have the microphone itself, which comes in handy, beautiful. It's a little bit heavier than the Mono PD100, which I've previously reviewed on this channel. You can check it out in one of the cards showing right about now. And that's about all you get in the box, really. Not so much fuss about the packaging. And setting this up on your desk, you have 3 options of mounting this. You can either use the base that comes with it. You can get an extension rod to make it a little bit higher on your desk so you can stand it and make it work for you. Or you can go high profile so that you can really have it boom and show in your setup. And then you can have it in a low profile boom arm setup like this. Mono has accessories that you can use for this kind of scenario, like this low profile boom arm or an high profile boom arm, or you can get other third party options for this. I generally would recommend you actually use a clamp or microphone boom arm setup like this one, so your microphone can be a little bit mobile and easy to move around in your setup and doesn't get in the way of you actually really doing the work. And you might want to ask me, what are the top features of this microphone? Of course, it has XLR and USB. It means you can use it either with an audio interface. For this recording, I am using the Monocaster G1 Neo to record this in XLR mode and also recording to my recording software using the USB mode also. I will put cards right here to show which device output options I am actually using at every point in time. I will switch on and off between each of them. And you're hearing the audio generally raw as it comes from the microphone right about now, with no editing done whatsoever, with no gain. And I'm recording in a general scenario I would record it on a normal day. I have my door open, my camera is about 2 meters away from me because I use a crop sensor lens with a 55mm lens, so it has to be a little bit far away to get this nice shot of me. I have my family in the house and they make their normal sound. Nobody's disturbing at the moment, of course, and you can get a feel of that. Everybody is just going about their normal day, and of course, my computer is blaring the fan, my desktop here is making its own noise, and it's generally just like that. But one thing to note with the Mono PD100X, the fact that you can also use the MonoLink software with it. Currently now, I am at about 52% gain looking in the MonoLink software. In a later part of this video, I will come from my feature and actually show you how I use the MonoLink software for this purpose. But of course, I've not done any modification whatsoever to this audio. No EQ, no compression, no noise removal whatsoever. Hi, my future self here. And what I'm trying to do today is record and show you how the MonoLink software actually works. So let's get started. I'm monitoring the audio in my ear, so there's a bit of lag in my hair, but I can live with that. So let's get started with the very first step. I have downloaded the MonoLink software, and this is the very first time I'm actually opening this on my computer, and by default it actually recognizes the microphone, which is the PD100X RGB microphone. If I click into that, I see a couple of options on what I can do. So the gain as it is right now is at 44, and it's going to go all the way up to 100, and that sort of brings up the volume level. I think I'm just going to bring that down to about 50. Yeah, 50 I think sounds right about okay. And I could turn on or turn off headphone monitoring. It means I'm no longer hearing the audio in my ears, but it's still going into the software, which is actually good. I'm actually recording this into OBS at the moment, which is pretty nice. I can modify that monitoring level also. I think I need that for my own sanity, so I'm going to turn that back on and put it at just about 62%. And I can change my tone, that is how deep my voice should normally sound, and I could put that to natural. This is what natural voice would sound like if I was to be using the MonoLink software to change my audio toning level and all that. And then I could go deep, and this is what deep will really sound like if I was to be doing that. I think I would probably go deep if I was to be in USB mode, and I think that's nice. And one thing to actually note with the MonoLink software is that it is available for Windows, Mac, Android, and iOS operating system. So whatever device you're actually using, it is pretty much okay. And also, you can turn the RGB on or off, and this is what that looks like when I have the RGB turned off. So there's no light, and then if I turn it back on, you can see the glow actually really happen. And I think I'm just gonna have the RGB on forever and ever, and I can adjust the brightness. I actually never saw that up until now, so I can make the RGB really glow, and I can change the color to just be one color, a couple of colors, or continuous colors. I think I'm gonna stick with the continuous colors for myself, and that is the basic mode. And I can also decide to go advanced mode. Advanced mode is where you can actually do a bit of more EQ on your stuff, and I think I would really like that. So let's try high pass filter, and that's what high pass filter looks like. And this is what presence boost sounds like if I was to do that. Presence boost, I'm a very good man. And this is what high pass filter and presence boost sounds like. And I can actually modify my noise level. So if I want to do noise reduction, I can do that, which is nice. Now I've cancelled out all the noise. So all the audio you've been hearing previously, I've had noise in them. And right now, there is no more noise. So on the microphone itself, you can actually go ahead and reduce noise. And I think that is really, really nice to have for your setup. But what I realize is that at some point it is cutting off some bit of the audio. So I might want to reduce the noise filter just a little bit so that it doesn't cut off all my audio for my recording. And I think that is really good. So it sort of puts a noise gate in front of the voice so that, as I speak, it just starts getting the audio. And when I shut up, it just reduces and meets everything else. Our compression is also something I would like in the setup. And I should bring my noise level down a little bit actually. And I can also set a voice limiter to avoid picking. So if I want to go super loud or super low, I can always do that. And that is the Monolink software really in general, what the fill sounds like. I could turn the noise filter off again, and that is what that would sound like for myself. But I think what I would prefer to do, instead of using the noise filter on the microphone itself, if you want to do that, you can actually really do that. I would rather prefer to do my noise cancellation inside of the OBS software, because I think I would generally prefer that kind of noise suppression, because that is happening on my computer and I have enough hardware to be able to do that. And if I was to compare that, so that is what that would sound like, because I have the compression now, RN noise and OBS sounds pretty nice for the kind of setup I have. And that is what that sounds like with noise suppression with OBS. And this is what noise suppression with Monolink software would sound like. This is noise suppression with Monolink software, and that's what that sounds like. It's nice, it's good, but then if you are not speaking for a long time, to pick up, there's a little bit of a lag in between that, but I think generally it's just pretty nice. So that is what Monolink software does for you, and I think I like it. It works. Yeah, pretty much that is what that sounds like. I think I enjoyed it. The Monolink software is actually nice. I think I enjoy working with it, and you should check it out also if it's something you're looking to do in your setup. I think I like it. I like it. And the microphone generally is just nice and beautiful and pretty cool. What do you think? If this was my real streaming setup, would you watch my live stream sessions? Let me know in the comments. And that is what really that sounds like. I've been speaking to it all this while, no changes whatsoever. And that is what that sounds like. And if you're talking about the Monolink software, it means you can program the RGB, and of course you can use the onboard controls to actually do this. It has this one touch mode function, which is actually pretty nice. You don't have to just give it a little bit of tap back, my audio really comes back to life, which I think is really nice. And this knob is a 2-in-1. It means with one press you can either adjust the level at which you're hearing the direct monitoring. I don't need direct monitoring because I've been using this all day and I know what audio levels this really sounds like for the setup. And then you tap it again and then it goes to modify the gain level or the direct monitoring level for this microphone. And the RGB control is right here at the bottom. If you press it a couple of times, it will switch over. As you can see, this is the glowy effect of this one right here. You can always program it for your own use cases and scenario. I think I would just leave it this way for the rest of this recording, and that's what really that sounds like. I've talked about most of the features. Now, talking about the price, at the time of recording this video, this comes in at about $60, which is $59.99. I'll put a link to actually purchase one either from the Mono website and also Amazon websites. These are affiliate links, so I'll get a bit of commission when you purchase, but that comes at no extra cost to you whatsoever. So you can check them out and see if it's something you really get. Now, you might want to ask me who this mic is really for. But before we get to that, let's actually do some tests to actually see if you would consider it at all. Now, I've been speaking to you all this while, no editing done whatsoever, and I've been about 2.5, 3 inches away from my mouth. That is what I'm speaking. But if I come a little bit closer, this is what that really sounds like. So if you have it close up in your mouth, that is what that is really gonna sound like. But I don't think anyone really want to do that. In my normal recording, this is general distance I'm away from my microphones, and that is how I use it. And then, of course, it's a cardioid polar pattern microphone, which means that as you go around the side, it tries to reject as much noise as possible as you go around the microphone, and as you come closer to it, it just gives you more. And then this is sort of the plosive protector, is the wind foam. If you actually go ahead and remove that, you can see the capsule right there. And of course, I'm gonna put that back. And that's what that really looks like. And then, of course, I've been saying a lot of P's and B's, but to really test that, I'm gonna really say it now. Peter Piper picked the peck of pickled peppers. If Peter Piper picked the peck of pickled peppers, how many picks of pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? You can have a feel of what that sounds like. If the plosives is something you don't like, it's all up to you. I am not editing this, as I mentioned, so you can have a real feel of what the audio really sounds like. And s and ish and pa 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 pa. Of course, no one should really go that aggressive on the microphone. Pa 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 is what you probably want to do, and pa 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 pa. You can have a feel of that, and you decide for yourself if that is really what you really want to be doing on your streams and recording. Now, to answer the question of who this is really for, I would say this is for someone looking to upgrade their setup. If you've been using the PD100 or the PD100U, I want to have a combo of this. Actually, fun fact, I host a podcast, This Dev Life. I will talk to developers and all about their life, and the microphone we use for that podcast is the Mono PD100. I use the PD100 in XLR mode, and my co-host in the US uses the PD100U. That's the USB version. So this is sort of a combo of that. And if you're someone that is usually on the go, want to record your videos, want to record a podcast, you're a nomad, typically this microphone will be cool for you to just add a bit of elegance to your setup. You know what I'm feeling, with a bass or with a weather bass that comes with it, or with a sort of mount with it. And the sweet thing that this mount that comes on the microphone actually is a 2-in-1. It means it can support a normal 5/8 or a 3/8 screw. So whichever mounting option you find, you are really good to go with it. And it comes with one more adapter to adapt to whatever boom arm you currently have in your setup, which I think is nice and good and comes in really super duper nice for that purpose. Pretty much that's it. I've done the test, who this is for, and if I